First of all, sorry I haven't made a video in a few days. It's probably a relief for most of you because I do tend to make too many videos, but it's kind of difficult for me to shift back and forth between writing and speaking because it's a vastly different way of thinking about ideas. Because when I speak and make a video, the ideas aren't formulated beforehand, and in some ways it's a lot more rewarding and pleasurable for me to speak about ideas than it is for me to write about them. Writing about them is a lot more difficult, a lot more tedious, and I find myself disagreeing with myself too often um, to really get a flow going in my writing. I didn't used to have this problem prior to making almost 1,000 or more videos on YouTube, and I don't know if it's necessarily connected to just learning to speak my ideas rather than write them for the past 2 years, but I assume it may have something to do with that. Um, but anyways, I wanted to respond to all of Phil's videos, really, and also turn everybody onto his channel. PD Daliot. BD Daliot is his channel, and I'll post. Well, obviously this will be a response to his last video, and I'll try to link you to his channel. But he threw out a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas, and important ideas uh, about ideas in general that I took some notes on, and I'm going to try to agree with almost everything and see what these ideas spark in my own imagination. But just the idea that ideas themselves are real and we should pay them attention, and some of them are better for us than others. Um, Phil, you made the analogy that ideas are like nutrients. And if we eat a lot of junk ideas, then our mind is going to get fat and unhealthy and lazy. And that is obviously true. At least, anyone that's spent a little bit of time thinking will have recognized that. Because what happens when you think about something, when you really apply your intellect and your imagination and your intuition to a problem, well, you learn something. Imagine, you actually figure out something. The world makes sense. An underlying pattern is revealed. It's amazing. And I think that should be a value that probably our postmodern culture, as you said, kind of is unable to accept. It's a everything is relative. Nobody really gives a fuck. It's whatever. Nobody can change anything. There is no truth. The God is dead. And science has proven it's all determined anyways, right? I think I share a similar frustration with you, Phil, about determinism and people that write about determinism, philosophers who claim to be determinists, because it is an impossible position. If you followed it through all the way, if you as a philosopher took yourself seriously and paid attention to what you were writing, you would stay in bed all day. In fact, you would probably just kill yourself. Because at least for me, living requires that I assume I have some opportunity to act spontaneously in any given situation. I assume, in other words, that I am in control of my actions, at least, enough to feel responsible for what I do. Uh, But see, if you're a Buddhist, which, I assume you've been influenced by it at the very least, and I've certainly been influenced by it too. I don't know if I would call myself a Buddhist. Uh, I would have the same dilemma about calling myself a Christian. I mean, there's a certain brand of fundamentalist literalism that I wouldn't want to identify myself with in any way, but at the same time, there are some Christian mystics who I'm enthralled by, genuinely touched at a deep level by, and the Christian archetypes and symbols and psychological hang-ups. That's all part of my culture and your culture. If we grow up in the West, that's how we're raised. We're raised in the Judeo-Christian context. I'd be surprised if you haven't been to church or temple at least once when you were younger, or I have memories of it at least. And but Buddhism, when it comes to determinism and free will, I mean, it's kind of a subtle argument, isn't it? I mean, at least, I guess there are different sects of Buddhism which will respond in different ways to this question, but at least in Zen, the question is never whether or not the Buddha can escape, the law of cause and effect. The question, or enlightenment actually is just becoming one with the law of cause and effect, which, saying it's the law of cause and effect is sort of the longhand abstract way of saying the Tao. And those are, for me at least, those are strikingly different images, and I just kind of equated them, but they amount to the same thing at the end of the day. The Tao is a machine, because a machine is automatic, right? And the Tao is automatic. So in a sense, we are determined, but the question is, who is determined? If you, as an existing being, actually believe you are determined, then you will be. Like you said, you tried it out. You were in bed. You didn't feel motivated to do anything because you were determined. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But in the same way, if you really affirm a philosophy of freedom, of consciousness, of optimism, which says that you can come to know the world, you can improve the conditions of other people, of other people's lives, your compassion does make a difference, and so forth. If you affirm a philosophy like that, then you will manifest it. And, that's not news to anybody, I don't think. That seems pretty obvious. And, about ideology and being concerned that what you say is somehow, it's all propaganda for a point of view that you're trying to gain support for or something like that. I think as long as you're open to conversation, as long as you're open to dialogue, and these ideas are essentially to be shared among the community, then that's not an ideology. That's an attempt to build something with other people, which is what we should be and need to be doing at this particular point in history. So, yeah, I guess I'll wrap it up. I really enjoyed your videos, all 3 of them or 4 of them, and I'm looking forward to more. So, take it easy.